Hello friends, welcome. So this time of year is wildflower season here in Texas, and the fields and the sides of the road are just filled with color, and it's one of my favorite time of years. So the most famous of the Texas wildflowers, of course, is the bluebonnet. And one of the things I was really begging for before Heartfelt Creation went out of business was a set for Texas wildflowers. And I think if they had stayed in business longer, they would have done that for me. But things closed down before they did that. So I have been trying to create the Texas wildflowers out of other flower petals that we have available to us. So let's go ahead and switch our camera and take a look at the card that I've created. And it's kind of my take on bluebonnets and Indian paintbrushes. All right, let's switch over. There we go. All right, so here is my card that I came up with. I wanted it to have a bit of a Texas feel to it, so that's why I chose the blue and red background papers. And I kind of wanted it just to kind of be like a country field here. So I have a fence and some grasses, and this is my bluebonnet and my take of an Indian paintbrush. So none of it is a perfect replication of those flowers, but I did the best I could with what I have available to us. But I loved how the card turned out. I think it's very pretty. So let's take a look at the products that I used to make this card. So one of my main papers is from the Home on the Farm collection. It's this one right up here, and I'm using just a section here that is the wood. I'm also using a piece of red and a piece of blue and a piece of yellow. And the bright yellow one is also from the farm, Home on the Farm collection. And then the red and blue, just any reds and blues will do. This one came from the Cottage collection that has the 4 seasons. And it looks like this one came from the hydrangea set. So for the solid colors, you could pull those just from anything. You could even use different colors if you wanted to. My main frame set is the Intricate Swirl, and I'm using these two. I cut this one out of white and out of gold, and then I cut this one just out of gold. I am using the tickets and tags for my title, and I'm using this tag right here. And for my stamps, oh boy, did I have to pull stamps from all over the place. So to make my actual bluebonnet, woohoo, they're stuck together. I used the tall green piece from the, we know what this is. There's so many names of flowers. My brain just goes blank. It'll come to me. Let me lay out all the pieces, and then hopefully I can remember where they all came from. This is the hyacinth. This came from the Wildwood Cottage. It's the grass, and the same with the fence. That came from the Wildwood Cottage. My little bumblebees came from the Sweetest Honey set. Here's another one from the hyacinth. Hollyhock. These leaves were hollyhock. The petals here are the smallest of the petals for the Oakberry Lane. My actual petals for my bluebonnet came from the orchid. Let's see, I think it's called Botanical Orchid. And the 2 pieces that I'm using are the ones that look like this. That's part of the orchid, and the 3 petals. And it is the smallest of there's 3 in the orchid stamp set that look like this. This is the smallest one. And let's see, there's one more. This flower right here, which I used for the insides of my Indian paintbrush, that comes from the hyacinth. So I think that is everything. Yes, this is the one for the Oakberry Lane, and it is, I think it might be the medium one, actually. I think I said smallest, but I think that's medium. So, okay, I think that's all of my pieces. I grabbed my title from the Sweetest Honey, and I stamped it there on the tag. And I think that is everything. So let's get right into putting this one together. Set my other pieces back over here. For my frames, I've cut the blue one to a 5x7. I cut the red one a 1/4 inch smaller, so it is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. Then my gold frame piece, 2 of the other, which we're going to layer up with the white one on top. And I cut the yellow piece so it fit perfectly right behind here. And then this piece I cut so that it fits right inside of this frame. And I can get you that measurement. I think it's 4x6. Yeah, 4x6. There we go. Okay, so that's all the pieces and all the measurements. So let's make some flowers. Now, this particular flower is the one we're going to start with. It's going to be my Indian paintbrush. And the colors that I have used for this one, I used some polished Tutti Frutti and some carnation red. So I stamped it in the polish, and we're going to go ahead and do the edges of these. For all of my flowers, I shaped them by hand. I didn't use any of the molds. But I'm going to go around the edges with my carnation red. Okay. So do let me know in the comments if you have a favorite of wildflower, or if where you live you have wildflowers in your area. Texas has wildflowers in so many colors. Right now there's lots of Indian paintbrushes. The bluebonnets are still out, but they're not quite as vibrant as they were a week ago. They run their course fairly quickly. And that's in my area. Now, if you went up north or further south, it might be different, because they bloom differently depending on what's going on weather-wise. But right now, the Indian paintbrushes and then the little pink ones are just everywhere. So for the inside of my Indian paintbrush, I have stamped the hyacinth in a pale yellow. This is called limoncello, and I colored it with the same limoncello. And I'm not going to go over those. I'm just going to leave them just like that. So let's go ahead and shape these. Let's see. I'm just going to use a medium size end and just put some shape on the back side of all of my petals. Just getting those to cup up. And I think you could use a mold if you wanted to, but I kind of enjoy shaping by hand sometimes. Now I'm just going to turn them all over and use a little bit smaller end and just press here in the center. Get those to pop up. All right, that layer is done. And now for these, same thing. I'm going to turn them upside down. And I really only need 2, so I don't need to shape all of these. I'll just shape the 2. But I'm going to take this medium end, and I'm basically going to draw a circle around the petals on the outside, just like that. And that makes them cup up like that. You see how they're cupped? And that's just by going around in a circle several times around the petals. Now I'm going to turn them over, and I'm going to grab a little bit thinner. And I'm just going to press down here in the center. And I'm pressing kind of an angle, because I just want those to pop up kind of in a wonky way, if that makes sense. You see how that did? But that's how I'm going to place those inside. And I have pulled some medium red stamens, and I'm going to put maybe 3 in the center of each one. We'll do that in just a moment. Now, for my bluebonnets, I am going to turn them upside down. Let's see, is this enough? I'm going to do a couple more. Oh, and I forgot to tell you about the colors of these. So this one I have not done the tip yet. And I used 2 different shades of blue. I stamped them in some in suede and some in something borrowed, just 2 different shades of blue. And then I went around the edges with the lighter color here. Or I should say just the tips. I went around the tips. So just like that. So that's all I did to make these. Now I did also add a little bit on the back side of each of my petals. I wasn't sure how much of that backside you would see when I was starting out. In the end, I don't think you really see very much of them. Let me show you. But depending on how you look at the card, you do kind of see the backside sometimes. So I did go ahead and do the back. So I've turned them all face down. And I'm just going to make sure each of those cup up. Did I do that right? Let's see here. You know what? I'm doing it the wrong way. It's been a few days. So I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it face up. That's the only difference there. So turn them all face up. I want them to cup that direction. So I'm going to make a circle on each petal. Go, just getting them all to cup up. There we go. All right, now I'm going to come back with a smaller tip, and I'm going to draw a straight line down the middle of each one. That's going to help me later on when I go to shape them. Oops. Just putting a straight line down the middle of each one. Okay, yeah, I already did that one. Okay, so these are ready for now. Now the next piece that I need, when you make the orchids, you're going to get some of these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a purple color. Now the ones that I stamped in blue, I'm going to turn them purple. Okay. And I did that just by taking them and tapping them down like that. That's all there is to it. So I did that to all of them to get them purple. And I got my thumbnail purple. So wipe that off real quick. And then for each of these, I'm going to take my little scissors, and I only want the 2 little round pieces. So I'm going to trim off that squiggly part at the bottom, just so I have 2 little round pieces together. So I did that to all of them. And before we move on from the orchids, whoops, I'm going to keep that. These little doodads we can throw away. Before we move on from the orchid, I wanted to show you, I did stamp it out 2 or 3 times using a lime green color. All right. And for those, I also kept the little white pieces. I don't know that I have any more of them left. So I think on this card we're going to use all purple, except for this part right here. But you do need at least one stamped in lime green for each of the bluebonnets that you want to make. All right, and for this we're going to shape it in the same way. Just run our piece along there and then take a smaller one and draw a straight line. Okay? All right, now for each of our other pieces, we're just going to shape these just like we would for any flower. Just add some curve there in the flower part. However you normally would shape your supporting pieces. right, so now for our hollyhock stems. You can see here I have cut off some of the greenery in the middle. And I'm going to do that to this one as well. Now this one is going to be for my bluebonnet, but this one is going to be for my Indian paintbrush. So for this, I'm going to cut off this going all the way down. So I'm cutting off the first 4. And you can stamp your greenery just in whatever your favorite greens are to work with. So come in and trim that leaf off. Okay, so this is for our Indian paintbrush. And for these, I'm going to turn them upside down, and on the leaves that I want to use, I'm just going to add some shape. Now the ones up here, I'm going to keep those flat because I'm going to glue my flowers onto those leaves, so you're not really going to see those. All right, I think that we've got everything we need. Oops, let's go ahead and shape our bumblebees while we're at it. Here they are. I'm going to grab the 2 little bees that look like they're flying in opposite directions, and we're just going to add a little bit of shape to those as well. All right, I think most everything is shaped. I'm going to turn these face down, my little purple balls, and I'm going to grab the others here. We're going to need 4 or 5 of them. Okay, that ought to be enough. And the very last thing would be my grass right here. I'm going to add a little bit of shape to that as well. Okay. So that makes us done with shaping. I'm going to set these leaves aside. I may come back and use some of these, so I'm going to just set them aside. I've got my largest golf tool, and we're just going to go ahead and we're going to layer up our Indian paintbrush petals. And this one will be pretty standard. When we do the bluebonnet, we'll get into some different things. We'll have to kind of make it up as we go, but for this one, it's pretty straightforward. I'm just going to layer them together, offsetting the petals. I love making flowers. I hope y'all get to do it regularly. I hope everything's going okay with the camera. Every now and then I'm getting a weird look on my computer screen. Okay, now while they're just 2 layers, I'm going to go ahead and poke a hole in them because we're still going to layer another one. But sometimes I find it hard to poke the paper through 3 layers of it. So I find it helps me if I go ahead and put the hole in there at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to layer this down in there. And I'll go ahead and poke that hole again. And I'm going to push it pretty far on there because I'm going to put I want my hole to be big enough to put my stamens in. All right. Now I'm not going to add my stamens until we get ready to use the glue gun. So for now, we'll just set these pieces aside. And now to work on what's going to be our bluebonnet petals. So from what I could tell on a bluebonnet, there's about 3 kind of different shapes that most of them take. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to add a little bit of glue on the back side of one petal, like this. And now I'm going to bring them together and hold that together. Similar to how you would do it if it was a orchid. And this is a good time, if you have reversible tweezers, you can go ahead and hold it and get a second one going. There we go. And let's see, I'm going to save 2 of them to do a different way. So all of these, I'm going to go ahead and pinch them together just like this. Oops. Okay. Just adding a little bit of glue, pulling them together, layering it up, and holding it until that glue takes. Okay, so now let's go back to one of the first ones because that glue will be the driest. We have it about like this. I'm going to take my finger under this one and kind of pop it forward, kind of like you would the orchid. And remember when I drew that line down the center? If I put this finger underneath, I could kind of shape that petal to my finger there. So this is what I have now, kind of like it's sticking out its tongue. So you see that from all angles? So that's how it looks right now. I'm going to go ahead and do that to all of these. I'm going to bring it forward, kind of curling it down like that. So I've just put my finger down in the center and brought it forward. Now I'm going to put my finger into there and kind of shape it like that. So there you go. Hopefully you can kind of see how I shaped that. And, you know, some of them can go a little further in. They don't all have to be exactly alike. Like I like to do some of them a little tighter, some a little open. Go. I left this one a lot more open rather than pinching it together, just to have some variety. All right, so there's that style. Now for this one, we're going to do this one a bit different. I'm going to pull all of these up, and I'm going to add glue to the back corner, or to the edge of all the petals, just like we did to the first 2. But we're just going to see that. So on all the edges, I'm going to, now I'm going to bring them all up just like that and pinch them together. See that? So I'm basically gluing all my petals together to kind of make like a little bud. You see that? Show you from the top. So basically I've glued all those petals together. And I'm going to do that to both of these. And you know what? I'm thinking maybe I should have had 3 of these. I think I only did 2. I've got plenty of petals though, so I can make another one real quick. Okay. Bring 2 together. And once I get 2 together, then I can just bring up the other 2 and then pinch them all together. Okay. Let me go ahead and grab a 3rd one just in case we need it. Whoops, wrong way. It's such a habit to do my shaping on the back side that it's weird to me to do it on the front. Okay, whoops. Do this one real quick. Butterfingers. Okay. Up and pinch it. Bring the next one up. Sorry, am I out of the camera? There we go. Okay, so you'll need 3, I think, that look like that. Now, for our one that I had you do that is green, we're going to do it different still. I'm going to cut them apart so that you have 3 separate petals, okay? And for all of these, there where I made that little line, I'm going to pinch that together so it just looks like that. See that? And I'm going to do that 3 times. I'm going to pinch that bottom together so that you just have a little petal thing about like that. Okay? Just like that. Okay. I think that I'm just looking to see if there's any more gluing that I need to do or if the rest is going to be hot glue. I think we're ready for our hot glue gun. So real quick before I move on, whoops, lost my glue. I'm going to grab a wet wipe and wipe my hands off real quick because I've got all kinds of glue on them. Okay. Move some of these things back. And what we're going to do now is add these little pieces into our flower. 1, 2, 3. That good and hot. I need to add, nope, not quite ready to add that. Okay. Now for each of these little guys, we're going to pinch it together. Remember, we turned them upside down and we made them circular. Now we're going to turn them right side up and pinch them together and fold it out. Okay? Almost like you're making little butterfly wings so that you have, let me get another one. So there, we're going to pinch it together and then fold it out. And you're going to do that to all of them. Bring them together, then fold them out. And this is, I have the stamp side facing up. Pinch them together, then fold it out. Okay, so it kind of has a look like that. I'm going to do the last 2. Okay. All right, now I am going to try this in some different ways. I'm going to hold my little petal, and basically we're going to set this little thing right down in there. So I think the best way, I'm going to add a dollop of hot glue down in there. My glue gun's ready. All right, then I'm going to take my tweezers and I'm going to set it right into that hot glue. Okay? Let's set that aside. And this is another place where you can get kind of creative. Some of them you can put in real tight, some of them more open. You know, there's not, because, okay. There we go. I wanted this one to be stood up a little more. There we go. Kind of like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that to each one. Now before, when I did this, I made some of them white, but on this one they're all going to be purple because I didn't have any more white ones left. So in the wild, most of them are white, but you also get some of them purple. It's kind of, it depends on, you know, how long they've been blooming, the kind of sun they get. You know, there's all kinds of, and there's just variations there in the colors. But most of them tend to be that white color. But you see the white and the green on the same flower. Did I say white and green? I meant the green, the whitish green and the purple. Like you see them on the same flower. Like the ones higher towards the top will always be white, and then as it gets down lower, they'll be purple. Not sure why it is. It just is that way. And this is our last one. Can get a hold of it. There we go. Okay. All right. Now, another thing that I did is some of these, I went ahead and cut them apart, just like we did ones up here. I'm going to add a little bit of shape to them. And in the same way that I did these green ones, I'm going to do the same thing to some of these. Okay. And then what I did was I added a little dollop of hot glue on the back side. There it goes. And on just a couple of them, I'm going to add this kind of third petal coming off in a different way. I'm going to save this one for maybe once we get to building our flower. We'll need to stick one in somewhere if we have a bare spot. Oops, actually I want to use this. Let me push these out of the way. To build up my bluebonnet, I'm going to put it here on this mat. That way I don't accidentally glue it to my table. I want it on something I'll be able to pull that up from. Let's see the best way to do this. This is just a little piece of flower shaping paper that I have stamped a flower on. It's really scrap paper. You could use white if you wanted to. And I'm going to glue this right here at the top of my flower. And it's just going to give me a nice base to glue my little petals on. Okay. Because they just need a little more. You'll see when I get going why I did that. You wouldn't have to do that, but I found it easier if I did. So I'm going to start at the bottom. Put some glue here on one of these petals and just set down one of these. And it's got an odd shape, so you kind of have to hold it while it dries. Okay. Now I'm going to use one of these that have the petal sticking off the side. Let's see, where's this one? There we go. Kind of have to hold them where you want them there. It's taking a minute for the glue to dry. There we go. Okay, this one's a little tight one. I'm going to put it right over here. And I think before I do that, I do on the back side of this one, I'm going to add this petal coming off. And then I'm going to stick it right here. Just kind of at an angle there. If you look at bluebonnets, they're definitely wild, like the way their petals kind of stick out. You'll have oddball ones sticking out in odd directions. So that's why I like to stick those random ones on, just to give it that kind of random feeling. So this is where I'm going to start using these little petals. And I'm going to put one, whoops, dropped it. Boy, if I'm going to poke it right down in there. Okay. And same with these two. Actually, this one I want to be raised up a little bit. I can that. Okay. Okay, and I'm kind of angling these out. Just going to pick that up so it doesn't stick to my mat too much. And now I'm going to add these little guys. And I have found it easier to kind of add the glue onto my base here and then poke the pieces in. And I'm going to do the two side ones first and then the top one, so that I get that kind of fanned out look. I don't want to burn myself. All right, that's looking pretty good. Not bad. All right, I'm going to let all that glue dry, and then we may cut off a piece of these and have some other pieces kind of sticking out, but for now I'm going to let that dry. So while this dries, we'll go ahead and add our stamens into this one, and there it is. Okay, so for these, I'm going to take 3, pull them tight, fold that over, hoping I can just poke these through. If I made my hole large enough, I think it'll go right through. Yeah, no problem. Add a little dollop of glue in there and pull it through. Oops. Getting the strings really bad. I like to pull them up kind of tight. There we go. All right, how are we looking here with our other pieces? I think we're good. We'll need the glue gun just one more time. So before I go any further, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to trim off that little beard piece of this one. And right over here, getting a little bit of glue on that. I'm just going to poke that in right over here. Like I said, with bluebonnets, you get like little weird outliers. They're sticking together. And I think I would like another one down in here. Cut that side off. I'm just going to pinch it just like we did those top ones. Pinch. Put a little bit of glue on it. And let's Let's see, just stick it right in there. Give it a little bit more fullness. And there we go. That's my bluebonnet. Maybe. Let's see. I think that would make it kind of too full. I think I'm just going to leave it the way it is. So I did add some leaves onto the bottom here, but we'll do that after we put it on our card. So before we go any further here, this is going to be my top for the Indian paintbrush. And for that, I'm just going to put 3 of these on here by, yeah, okay. Okay. I think my gun has turned off. There we go. Let's see here. And we'll add this one right here. And that will be my Indian paintbrush. Clean up my mess here while I let my gun get hot again. Yeah. Okay. All right, so I am going to lift that up and lay it face down, let that all that glue dry. That's why you definitely want to have like one of these non-stick silicone mats while you do this, because your glue kind of goes between those leaves, and if you have it on a piece of paper or anything like that, it's going to stick. So, all right. So while that is cooling, the next thing that I'm going to do is grab my different, my foam. Let's see here. Well, this is the only kind of foam I have right now. And we're going to add foam to our fence and our grass and our background pieces. So on my fence, I'm going to put a piece of foam down each slat here. And do that for both fences. And then for my 2 pieces of grass, I'm going to take another piece and I'm going to put it just along the bottom. Just like that. And the way this will go is this will set just right up against that. So on the back, your fence is going to set right along the foam on the bottom of this one. And that's how you'll know where to place that. So same thing. It'll just be just like that on the front of our card. So that should be done. Right. I'm also going to put some foam on the back of just the flower petals, not the stems. There we go. I think that should be every. Oh, the only other thing would be our bumblebees. We're going to put a circular one here on the inside of our bumblebees. Okay, I think that should give us everything we need as far as foam. Okay. That over. Got a brand new desk cover. It's kind of, I'm trying not to get it all filthy dirty, but I'm sure in no time at all it will be. All right, so let's go ahead and layer up our layers. I'm going to go around the edge real quickly. Whoops. Take away that white. And this piece is just going to be layered directly onto the blue. Giving a nice outline. Got a little off center there. The white one is going to go on top of the gold. Come on. Okay. I know this red piece is going to be covered up, so I'm okay if I get a little glue on there. Okay, now I'm going to glue this piece down onto my yellow. Oh, looks like I cut my yellow just a little too big, so I'm going to go ahead and trim off that edge. Okay, set that one aside. Go around this one. And this piece is going to go straight down to the fence piece. This kind of has a white fence look. And I'm going to glue it not quite centered. I'm going to put it more toward, it's going to be centered left to right, but up and down ways. I'm putting it closer to the top. Because what this is to kind of frame our bluebonnet. I'm going to put my bluebonnet right in here. So if I have that too low, my bluebonnet's going to go up out of the top. And once I put my fence and stuff on there, you're not really going to see that bottom edge. Okay, now for this piece, I'm going to glue this one just around the edges, none in the center. Glue it right here. And then this one, I'm going to add some foam to. Oops, didn't quite get it long enough. One more chunk. All right. And now I'm going to place this one right like that. All right. So the first thing I'm going to put down are my flowers that are going to be behind the fence, but I'm going to set the fence right here so I know kind of how high to put these. And I'm pretty much putting these all the way over so that this leaf is all the way over to one edge. Okay, now I don't need that anymore because I can just eyeball this one based on that one. Okay, and I know this one is just going to be over to this side. I want my Indian paintbrush to kind of cover some of it up because these are really hyacinths. They're not really bluebonnets. So I purposely kind of designed them so they're kind of in the background and they're kind of covered up by different things. My title's going to kind of cover up some of this one, and the Indian paintbrush is going to cover up some of the other one, and that's going to, you know, they're just kind of a hint like they're bluebonnets back there because they don't really look like bluebonnets. So now that I have that positioned where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and just trim off the leaf. And for this one, I'm going to go ahead and use hot glue to put it down. And on this side, while I'm waiting on that glue gun, I can go ahead and put my fence on the right-hand side. Just place that about right there. There we go. And now I'll put on the second fence. Okay. Get some of this yucky stuff out of the way. Okay. Now for my grasses, I can see, I totally forgot, I wanted to add just a little bit of yellow. So I have my goldenrod right here. And to just the tips here, as if we got a little bit of yellow in our yellow flowers in our grass, I'm just going to add just a tapping of yellow right to the edges of my grass. And now I'm going to pull off. Oops. Actually, I want to use the other one. I forgot to poke out all the centers on that one, so use this one. I'm going to butt that right up against the bottom of my fence. And then this one, same thing. Butt that up against the bottom of that fence. And then I'm going to trim off what I don't need. There we go. Okay. All right. We're ready for our bluebonnet. Okay, so now same, just like I did the other one, I'm going to add my hot glue just right on the back side here. And for this one, I think I'll add a little down here. Place this one right here in the center. Maybe over just a little bit. I am going to add just a little bit of glue under my stem to hold that down a little. Don't want to clump it up. Okay, and this is where some of those leaves that I cut off before, I'm going to add some shape to a couple of those and kind of layer some leaves on top here just to make that a little more full. These are not really the right leaves for bluebonnets, but I didn't really find any that I liked better enough that it was, I just didn't, just decided to go with these anyway. When you look in the fields, there's usually all different kinds of foliage and greenery and from all different kinds of plants. It's, you know, it's wild. So I decided just to go with it like this. I'm gonna trim that off of there. I just added a little bit of hot glue to this one, and I'm just gonna tuck that right in there. All right, so we have our title and our 2 bumblebees. All right, and then for my title, I'm going to tuck it right in here, right about like that. So I am going to take one of my, maybe I'll just use the blue because I know it's got, whoops, that's my daughter calling. Hold on one second. Katie, I'm making a video. I'll be done in just a sec. I'll call you right back. Okay. Sorry about that. We're doing a project together up at church and she's needing my help, so. Okay. There we go. I love it. Now, I did come back and add some glitter, but this is my take on a bluebonnet. I hope you enjoyed it. Now that I look at this, I may come back and add something right in here. Let's add that right down there and see what we think. I may do that. That looks a little weird the way these are turned. But overall, I like my take on a bluebonnet. If you look up pictures of bluebonnets, you'll have to tell me what you think, whether I came up with a good plan. So, all right. I hope you enjoyed making this Texas wildflower card with me. I look forward to crafting with you again soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.